All right, well, good morning, everybody. And it's Monday, the 29th of November, and this is our Smart Networker call. And I'm Dave Rolfe, and it's nice to be here. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about something that I started a long time ago in the education and teaching process. So now that it's recorded, I'm going to share with you a PowerPoint, and then we'll get this underway and have some fun today. Okay, so I'm going to go to beginning. Okay, slideshow from the beginning. There we go. All right, you can all see that, right? And I'm going to shrink this up so that's out of my way. Okay, great. I think it was Kansas City. Kansas City, here we come. And I'm not sure what year it was. I can't remember. But I went to this meeting, and as a normal aspect of doing the business, I'd always ask the leader of the area, well, what does your group want to know, or what do you think's important? And he says to me, well, why don't you talk about the 10 things that you did to become successful? And I'd never had that question before, so I went up to my room and I started writing down 10 things I did. And before you know it, this became a very interesting topic. It was published in a few magazines, created a few articles, and then it became the book that I wrote called Vested Interest, and then it expanded from there to the latest version of the digital book, Smart Networker, and it's basically the basis of trying to help other people become successful. So these were the basic things, and so there you go. So let's see, somebody notify me. No, okay, good. So these were the basic things, and of course I've expanded on them, but when it comes down to the basics, these are the basics. So let's run through this and see if we can add to your understanding and success. So I'm going to start with number 2 because, again, I got to clear this up as much as possible with you and everybody else, and we'll do it the proper way. It's know what you want, and when you know what you want, you'll discover your why. And this is the most fascinating thing that people have this. I don't know why they have this challenge, but if we look at this, and you've heard this, find your why. And I'd like to tweak this to first know what it is that you want as a result of doing your Niken business or doing Niken, because once you understand what it is that you want, then the why is really simple. It's to get what you want. And so I, over the years kind of looked at this, and other great mentors have said the same thing. It's like, well, why do you want to do this business? And it always, you can ask yourself this question. If you've got a why, what is the why? It'll be a want. You're trying to accomplish something. You're trying to feel something. You're trying to get something. And I'm going to show you how this works by definition. So a business is a thing. And as a result of it being a thing, it only operates on one principle, and that's numbers. And if there isn't enough money at the end of the month to pay the bills, then the business goes broke or shuts the doors, or, that's the way the business works. You as a human being can have emotions that go up and down like a roller coaster, and you could either be with it or not with it, and all kinds of things can happen, and you can be cause or you can be effect, and these are very interesting aspects. But, okay, let's go on to the next slide here. Let's define why. So based on the definition in the dictionary, it's for what cause, reason, or purpose. Pretty simple. the cause, the reason, or purpose for which. In other words, why did you go here, or why did you take that direction, for which, and for which, on account of which. Then we look at the noun aspect of the definition of why, and it's reason or cause. Or it could be a baffling problem, an enigma, something that's hard to understand or explain. So somebody says, well, I found my why. Well, what's your why? It'd be like saying, well, why is the earth round? Why is the color of the sky blue? Why do some clouds look fluffy and some clouds don't? Who cares? Doesn't really matter. What do you want? Well, I want a nice, hot, sunny day with lots of sunshine and nice, big, fluffy clouds. Okay, so therefore, your why is to get that what you want. Now, if we look at the definition of want, this was the first one. I thought that was kind of interesting. To be needy or destitute. So that's not really applying here. It's to have or feel need. So let's look at a relationship. Why do people have relationships? Because they want something, don't they? They want that feeling of love, or they want that feeling of whatever it is, physical, emotional, but they want that. And so they seek out that relationship. To be necessary or needed, So if you don't have any food in the refrigerator, I want some food because you're going to get hungry, that kind of a thing. That's a desire to come, go, or be. So I want to go to, I think Leo wants to go to Dubai. I mean, he said that many times, and he won that contest, and now he's got this trip, and he's going to go to Dubai. Well, what did Leo really, was it his why that got him to Dubai, or is that's what he wanted? And that's the operative here, and to have a strong desire for. So for mine, I was a family guy, I had a family to support, and I didn't have any money. I was dead broke, and I needed a good job, and I didn't know where to go. And I got approached about doing this Deacon thing, and I was like, okay, I don't think so. And then economics were shown to me in a little different way, and I got a little bit excited. And then all of a sudden, I realized, well, wow, if I could figure this out properly, then I could solve my problem and get exactly what I wanted, which was the ability to provide for my family and have a good life. And that's exactly what happened. Okay. Now, so therefore, the first question that I would ask anybody that I'm engaging in this is, once you have the social chit-chat out of the way, and that is, what do I need to show you to get you to take a serious look? In other words, how much income do I need to talk about so that you would take a serious look? Or what is it that you would want as a result of doing this business? Because when you focus on those areas, then the things that the person is lacking or missing or not having are going to show up, and that's what you want to do. I mean, I've told you the story of Ralph and Jerry. I've told you the story of Chuck Michael. I've told you the story of Howard Newman. All of them wanted something, and they were all uniquely different. But it was what they wanted which was the key to their motivation and moving forward. And then their why, which, as you saw by the definition, was somewhat purpose. Okay, it opened the door to solutions. Okay. So now let's jump back into sequence, and then the first thing I wrote down when I was doing this many years ago was, well, you got to treat it like a business. It's like a career. It's not a hobby. I mean, again, and the whole purpose of the Smart Networker is to have this was designed to help you become more successful. And, if you were a hobbyist, I basically told you, well, this isn't for you and go find another call. Maybe that was not being too nice, but I did that on occasion. So I'll be honest with you there. But the whole idea of what we're trying to talk about is to become more successful, or to take advantage of what this is and what's available. And let me tell you, guys, I mean, This thing is awesome if you make it work. I mean, truly awesome. I mean, it's unbelievable what it can do for you. So, what do we mean by treat it like a business? Well, what we mean by treat it like a business is pay attention to the details. Know as much as you can, get organized, put in your time, pay your dues. Always be prepared. Now, I say pay your dues. I'm not saying you have to do this, but I worked in the industry for 13 years before I found success. Does that mean that that's what you have to do? No, 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 no. But it just, it's kind of like you'll hear many stories. How long does a doctor have to go to school and work before he's successful? 10, 15, 20 years? But look at careers, look at athletes, look at all kinds of different things. The ones that become successful pay the dues, put in the time. They're always prepared. Don't leave any stone unturned. I mean, this is another one. Just I talked to anybody and everybody I could. And whenever I could, and sometimes I couldn't, but whenever I could, I always asked that question. Well, would you be interested in, making some extra money, doing an extra job, whatever the case may be, that would open up the door to a conversation. Because again, if we look at what we're all trying to accomplish is to engage in a purposeful, meaningful conversation where we have the opportunity to find out what's important to them and possibly get them interested in what we have, and that's what we do. So paying attention to treating like a business, you have a budget, you're a professional, you dress for success, in other words, you pay attention and you go to work. And if you want to be successful, and I added this today because I thought about this also, is that what we do is no different than what anybody else does. We get up in the morning, we put on our pants one leg at a time. I mean, unless you have a dress, you put on a dress differently, but you know what I mean. And whatever it is we do, we put in the time to do the necessary activities that are known to work and create the desired end results. Well, what if you're a bus driver? What do you do every day? You drive buses, but you got to follow a schedule. You got to be there on time. You got to be, what if you're a truck driver? What if you're a taxi driver? What if you're a dentist? What if you're a doctor? What if you're a chiropractor? What if you're a football player? What if you're a baseball player? What if you're a scientist? We all do the same thing. We go to work. We do the activities that are geared towards the end result that we're trying to accomplish. And this applies to all work activities. And the lack of results simply means a lack of doing the right activities correctly. And again, by my observation of doing this business for now 32 years, I'm in my 33rd year now, it's really amazing that there wasn't anything other than people just didn't do what they were supposed to do, or enough of it, or they didn't learn what to do, or they didn't take the time to learn what to do, or they didn't put in the time, or they didn't pay the dues, or they didn't, get their hands dirty, so to speak, that kind of stuff. So there is no such thing as failure in anything. There's no such thing as failure. It's just a lack of participation, a lack of doing, or whatever the case may be, or just not knowing what to do. So there you go. So know what you want. See, this is the key to this whole deal, is if what you want, whether it's an attitude, an emotion, a sensation, whatever it is, a thing, how do we judge anything? Well, we judge it by perception, don't we? So you go to a restaurant and somebody comes out with some food and it looks like worms squirming around. And you look at that and you say, oh my God, I don't like that. But what caused you not to like that? It was your perception. So anything that you want is going to be based on what you perceive. So you go outside and it's a beautiful day and that's what you wanted. What did you perceive? The beautiful day. Okay. You go to work, you enjoy what you're doing, you meet the right people, you're having a good time. That's what you wanted. Okay. So why do you keep doing it? Because that's what you want. You see, so don't get these two confused. And it's not just semantics. It's a real thing. And I challenge you to challenge anybody's why. It's always a want, because you can't have a why without a want first. So know what works, and then go to work. Okay. So number 3, how does this thing work? Boy, this was great. You know, I've expanded on this one many times, but initially when I first wrote, there are many things that we use and operate that we really don't know how they work. You know, I mean, most people will hop in their car and they'll turn the key and drive it away, but they don't really know how it works. You know, you have a house and you got all kinds of plumbing and you've got electricity, and you know, you don't know how the electricity works or how the plumbing works. And but how in business, I mean, this is where there's a distinction where that kind of stuff doesn't really hold water, because by direct observation, all the failures or lack of success I know came about from not understanding how the business worked. And you may stumble upon the workability, you know, and again, this is, I'm not trying to make anybody wrong here, but you can have spurts of workability, but again, not always get the end result all the time. And so these are important pieces to this success. And of course, in the long run, that's basically understanding more is the key to this. So I wrote some things down today and added to this one because this was, you know, more specific. So basically, the business works by word of mouth. I mean, in the purest sense of workability. So I like the business, and I tell my friend about what I like, you know, or I make a ton of money doing something, and I go tell my friends or anybody away, hey, by the way, man, you can make a ton of money and whatever it is that this, you know, and how do we do that? Well, we do it by telling interesting stories. Now, my story in the very beginning was I used my mentor, who was a guy by the name of J.R. Ewing from a TV show called Dallas. Now, believe it or not, that was my story. I mean, this guy, I loved the show. I mean, it was just like that. That's the guy, you know, anyway, that was part of the fun of telling the story. But over the years, my story became, you know, broader and broader and broader because of number of people I have, traveling the world, success, all those kind of things. And it was telling the interesting stories that would attract attention, which then brings it down to this business is all based on one thing, communication. If you don't communicate, just think about this for a sec. Lock yourself up in your house, your apartment, or wherever you live, and don't talk to anybody. You'll go cuckoo. For the most part, you'll go cuckoo. Yeah, I mean, but that's how it works. So how do you expand from where you are? You talk to other people. So I got involved with the business, and I was told what to do. I put down some names on a piece of paper, and I called them up, and I said, I think I found the goose that laid the golden egg. And then that communication opened up the door to more what? Communication. And more stories were told, and more, well, how do you do that? And well, how does that work? Or what do you do? Or how much does it cost? You know, all of those questions would come up. Well, if you could answer them in an intelligent way, I'm not saying you can't, but if you could, then you usually got somewhere. And I mean, it's like anything else in life. It operates on the same basis. So you get married and you have children, and you think, well, you know, maybe I should get some insurance in case something happens to me. Well, what do? You go call an insurance guy, and then they explain it to you. I mean, your car breaks down, it's falling apart, and it's no good. What do? Well, you go talk to a car salesman. I mean, do you get the message? I mean, so one of the things I realized in this part of how it works, word of mouth, telling interesting stories, is I had to become Mr. Nieken. No, I mean, it was Dave Nieken. That's my job. That's who I am. I am the Nieken representative for my universe, in my world. This is what I do. And I was really proud of it. And I did everything to look the part. When I started, I wore a two-piece suit and carried a briefcase. And in the briefcase was all kinds of promotion. We didn't have any promotional material, so there wasn't much to carry. But, then I saw different ways to do it. Have a presentation book because I learned that in the insurance industry, and have something to give somebody. I saw that in other areas, et cetera, became professional, and so on and so forth. And you go from there. How else does it work? Well, when somebody buys a product, that means it's working. When somebody joins you in the business, that means it's working. Okay, so that's as far as I got from extra notes because time ran out. But so here's number 4. Show me the money. Okay, I'm going to hit this one square on. From my experience in this business for the last 32 years and in this industry since 1975, it really is all about the Benjamin. Now, why do I say that? Because it's not a philosophy, so it's not, it's not a religion, and it deals in one thing, and that one thing that it deals with is it sells products. And if the products, and again, from my experience, the product mix has totally changed from when I started. So the products that we have today are completely different than the ones that we had when I started in 1990 and 91. Similar, but different. So from the standpoint of if a product isn't sold, guess what they do with it? They can it. They get rid of it and they come out with a new product. So and then also from the standpoint, I found that when people didn't make money, they went elsewhere. Because in a survey that I did back in the day, and I'm sure it still applies today, is that 94% of the people that signed up to make some extra money. Now, this does not mean that you can't have other reasons that you like this. In other words, you can like the camaraderie. You can like the fact that, the company tries to help people. You can like the fact that, people are trying to do better than, they've done before. All of those kind of things. But the bottom line is that if you don't make it economically, for the most part, you're history. And I've observed this for 32 years. And this is not, a fictitious made up thing. It's just the majority of the reasons that people are doing this is to improve their pocketbook so that they can do better. And interestingly enough, this was Isamu Masuda's goal. This is why he created this thing. It was to allow you and I and other individuals to create our own economic empire. And so this was then where I saw most people not being very successful because they didn't understand how they made the money. They didn't understand their own compensation plan. I mean, if you look at this, when you sign up, the document that you follow is the Niken compensation plan. And where do you start? At the bottom. You don't start at the top, you start at the bottom. And it's designed for you to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And so again, if I'm talking to anybody that's brand new in this business, that's the first document you want to know inside out, backwards and forwards. And for all you veterans that have been here forever and a day, I would venture to say it's a lack of understanding that causes the challenges and so on and so forth. So know the money. Now, again, this comes back to want versus why. And again, it's like, you're trying to attract people to do this as an opportunity, and it's got to make sense for them, and they've got to know how to do it, and so on and so forth. Okay, number 5, the plan. All right, so this was another thing that was one of those obvious situations. No plan, no arrival. And really, from the standpoint of my experience, my education, my training in other arenas, there was always a plan. That was part of how you played the game. You created a plan. Well, how am I going to do this? Or how, it's like building a house, or being an architect, or doing a job, or whatever the case may be. You got to have a plan of attack. And so the key to the plan is to create the activities. You see, if you, again, you're going to see how this plays in there. So it's been said that no plan, no arrival, and this couldn't be more true in Nikan. Your plan, as mentioned, the comp plan guides you step by step. Add to this the key activities placed on a calendar of events with dates, and there you go. So, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. You got to, there's nothing going on. So I left the business for a couple of years in the early days of 91 to 94. And I came back and I decided I wanted to continue on with it. And so I said, well, how am I going to get this started? Well, the first thing I did was I got to have a meeting. So I got a meeting and invited people to the meeting, and I invited my support team, and we had a meeting. Now, I think 3 or 4 people showed up. Nothing to write home about. But that activity led to hundreds of people showing up. Okay, I just want you to look at this for a second. See, it started off slow, but it just kept building and building and building and building and building because we just kept at it, we kept at it, and we kept at it. We did what we were supposed to do. We followed the successful action and did those activities that were known to create the results. And, just was persistent as all get out and did it every week. So, and then we planned trainings, and we planned expos, and we planned big events, and we planned all of this stuff was based on having a plan to follow, along with moving up that compensation plan, which was the bigger plan. So you got to have a plan. It's got to be in writing. You could tweak this weekly in a lot of cases in the early stages, and then you expand as you go. So that's number 5, the plan. Okay, number 6, your story, presentation, what is going on in society. Our business is all based in communication. Well, I think that's it right there. So you got to have a story, and the story has to be believable. The story has to be true, and the story has got to indicate to other people. So when I started this business, I started off with the product first because that's what was being sold, and I really wasn't getting much results in that arena of getting people interested in the product. And it was a lot of work, and that was my experience. I'm not saying that's what it is now, or you're going to have that same experience, but what I did see really fast was that, and I realized this for myself, well, if I need to make $8,000 a month to pay my bills, and I have a family, and I'm in this situation, I bet you there are other people who are also in that boat. And if they knew what to do as well, then possibly this might be very interesting and a great way to go. And based on my education and learning what were successful actions, I was told and educated that what you really need are other people that are on the same page as you and doing the same thing, because then you've got this synergy and communication. So, in other words, if I'm building an organization and I recruit you, and I'm saying this generically, and I want to make a ton of money and you want to go feed fish. I don't know why I said feed fish, but that's what you want to do. Well, what are we going to talk about? Not very much, because I'm not interested in feeding fish right now. I'm interested in building a business. And I want you to come to me, I got to go fishing, or I got to go feed the fish with, what you get the drift real fast. So I went out and I asked that question, well, would you be interested in making an extra $5,000 a month? And wow, I got immediate response to that one. And boom, I put an ad in the paper. I got this professional realtor knocking on my door who just lost boom, he needed to make money. What do you got? Because that seemed to be the way people were. What do you got? It's like, what's out there, if they've lost something or they've lost a job or whatever. So I had to create a story. And so I left a business. It went broke, lost. That was the story. I found this company, and away we go. And we got this neat story that created interest in the people that were talking. Now I've used that story for years, years and years and years and years. I still talk about that story. And then I had to create a presentation, but the presentation had to be geared to what's going on in society right at that time. And so right now we have a lot of very interesting things that are happening in society. As a matter of fact, I think last month 4 or 5 million people quit their jobs because they want a better deal. Well, okay, there's an interesting way to go. Look on the Google and look at the maps and see where they're at, and maybe throw an ad in the paper to say, would you be interested in making $10,000 or $20,000 a month? Okay, you're a business person. You got to be creative. You got to think outside of the box. And what's your main objective? Your main objective is to talk to other people. I mean, again, here's one of the things that I realized. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can't, because I had horses. You can't do it. So in the same way, you can talk to somebody about the business and talk to them, and maybe they're interested and maybe they're not. Maybe they'll do something, maybe they won't. Nothing you can do. You can't beat them over the head. You can't whip them. You can't do any of those things to get them motivated to do the business. They have to create their own motivation. But how are they going to create that motivation? It's going to be based on what you tell them, how you educate them, how you guide them, what information doesn't work. So you send somebody out to go prospect and they can't find anybody to talk to. What do you think is going to happen? They're not going to last very long, are they? But if you go out with them and help them and show them and teach them, bang, it starts to work. So anyway, create your story, have a good presentation, your elevator speech, however you want to call it. And there's many stories you got to have. And there's on daverolf.com, there's all kinds of ideas for the types of stories you need to have and how you create them, and then understand what the heck's going on in your society, in your area that you can deal with. Now, there are a lot of people on the internet, but that doesn't mean everybody's on the internet. There are a lot of people that still do business without using the internet and are doing extremely well. So it's not the only way things are going. How does it work? Word of mouth. You see, it's communication. So I bet you dollars to donuts if you were to go out, and sometimes some places you can and can't because of this COVID thing, that's the whole deal. How many you have to talk to? I don't know. That's up to you. But I think you'll get the idea here that again, you're the boss. Be creative and get out there and do your thing. Let's look at this in detail. So your story, your presentation, what's going on in society are the three main ingredients of number 6. It's all about communication. If you don't know what to say or how to say it, then you're pretty much dead in the water. I mean, that's the key. Somebody says, well, boy, I really like this product. Can you tell me all about it? Well, not really, but, let me get somebody to see. That doesn't work. That kind of stuff doesn't work. That'd be like you calling me up. I'm an insurance rep, and you say, I need to know some insurance stuff. And I can, well, I really don't know what you're going to go somewhere else, aren't you? So your story is how and why you're involved. And it has to have some meaning and some purpose so that you attract others to join you. It has to be the truth. And there's so many ways that you guys can tell the truth and again, this is why we talked about last week of people that are, a little bit out of integrity by getting places that they haven't built because there's an ongoing benefit of double, whatever the case may be. And so how's this business work? It works on communicating and telling a story and duplication. So the problem with what just went on this month is it won't happen again. So you can't use that in your story. It's an unfortunate set of circumstances, but that's the way it is. So that's how the business works, is you telling your story, and it indicates to the person that you're talking to, and they like you and they want to do what you're doing. And man, I watched this for 32 years, and I also watched it prior to this. And that's just how it does. Okay. So your job is to get the other person interested, and this is done when he or she hears how This was a solution for something that was important to you, and they see how it can be a solution for them, bottom line. And whatever that solution may be. Maybe the solution is a good feeling. Maybe they want to feel wanted. Maybe they want to feel a part of something. Maybe they want to feel that they're doing something that's worthwhile. And it's a want, right? And so therefore the why becomes, well, my why is to help other people. Well, let's really be honest here. You want the feeling of helping other people. That's why you have that why. If you didn't want to help other people, you wouldn't do that. You see, so it's really simple to answer. Anyway, you develop your story, create your presentation, understand what's going on in society, and work it. Work it. Number 7, tools and resources. Know what to use to make your tasks easier. Okay, so like any business, you have certain tools and resources that you can use to build your business. The key to number 7 is knowing what these are and how to use them to get your job done. And then the 3 main resources are time, people, and money. Those are the resources. And by that, I mean it's your time, the people that you know and potentially can know, and how much money do you have to feed the system. Because it costs money to play this game, no question about it. You know, it does. And so it's an important part because you got to buy product and you got to demo product, and that was a very successful way. That's a successful way of doing the business. And then you might want to buy leads, and you might want to get a computer, and you want to do Zoom, and you know, all of these interesting things. So all of these are important resources, but combinations of them can become very important, and different people can have different resources. So for example, just a quick example, I used to like to talk to people that knew lots of people. Now they might say, I want to talk. So we talk to people and we present them with what we've got. We open the door to what we got, says my, okay, thank you. So this is a very important thing to understand, because just because, you know, the person doesn't have the time doesn't mean you can't have a relationship with that and get referrals. Just because the person doesn't, you know, have any money doesn't mean you can't help and support him. So I mean, there you go. Lots of ways to go with that. Okay, number 8, your day plan or your daily activity. Well, you're the one that's going to direct all the traffic, by the way. You're going to give the instructions. You're going to create the activities, and you're going to balance everything that you must do. So if you're not organized on a day-to-day basis, then this is an impossible task. So if we look at time, and what we really have is consecutive series of now. So it's always now. Okay, they're going to throw a monkey wrench in your life today. Time is always now. Now, if you look at right now, and you were watching football yesterday, when you were watching football yesterday, it was now. You might have had a thought that, okay, tomorrow is going to be, I'm going to be on this call with Dave Rolfe on Smart Networker, and that's the future. But if you look at it, the future never happens. It's always now. So, in other words, what you want in the future is a decision that you make in the future, but you have to do it now. I mean, this is a real tricky, this is one of those enigmas or conundrums of want and why, because if we look at time, what we really have is consecutive series of now. Well, what gives us the idea of time? Clocks, the sun, the planet turning around, all of these kind of things, your watch, your phone, your computer, somebody telling you it's 10 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock, etc. It's tomorrow, it's yesterday. Well, again, there's no past, there's no future, it's always now. It's an idea, okay? So if you want something tomorrow, guess when you have to do it? Now. If you want a paycheck on the 15th of next month, guess when you have to do the work? Now. It's always now. So the key point to number 8 is what you do now, your daily activity, and make use of it. You know, if you want something in the future because you can't do anything about the past, well, with a day planner, you can make sure that you get the most out of each day. So when I first started this business, I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I didn't come home until I had a result. And what do I mean by a result? A new sale, a new prospect, whatever I understood was an important piece to my puzzle. So it was some kind of activity. And then I just keep doing that. I kept doing it. I kept doing it. I got results and I grew and I got results and I grew and I got results and I grew. So if you're organized and you have a daily planner, then you can get things done, but do them now. Don't put off today what you could do tomorrow. Do it now. Okay, I think you got the message. Now, leadership. Okay, so leadership. You are the boss of your business. You're the CEO. You're the president. You're also the janitor. You're also the errand boy or errand girl. You set the example of what you want others to do. This is interesting. It's all about you, isn't it? Darn right it is. Take some responsibility. So let them see what you do and they'll duplicate that. That's all there is to it. So my definition of a leader is one who establishes activities so that the production will occur. So I think that's what Leo did, isn't it? I mean, he started this stuff that he was doing, going to the cafes and then putting on events and having success stories, and other people caught on and started to see what was going on, etc., etc. Same thing. You know, I started talking about the business and other people started talking about the business, and it duplicated and passed on and so on and so forth. So I set up meetings happened. I set up big events happened. I did three-way calls, they happened. I did Zoom calls, they happened. I did, trainings, they happened. So what a leader does is he leads by establishing activities where the actual doingness goes on. So again, if you're trying to become a leader in this business and you sit at home and say, well, what am I going to do today? Well, maybe somebody will do something. Nothing's going to happen because this is your business. So do you think the president of Ford is sitting there saying, well, I guess I'll just let the factories run on their own, et cetera, et cetera? Of course not. So we all do this. All businesses do this. It's kind of like they set the pace, they set the example, they get out there, they give charge, they give orders, they tell people to do things, et cetera, et cetera. So, and this has been going on since the beginning. So there's your definition of what a leader is. Does a leader necessarily have to have high volumes or big numbers? Not really. I mean, it usually follows suit that's what happens. But if you see somebody out there that's making things happen, getting the job done and getting others to participate, then there's going to be a natural progression of growth. And that's what's important there. Okay. So this was the last one. This was number 10. It's, just the practice, 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 practice. So in other words, practice. You'll hear this from every professional. You'll hear this from every athlete. You'll hear this from everybody. I just did lots of it. Why? Well, when you do lots of something, you get good at it. And when you get good at it, you're natural. You're not nervous. It comes across as realistic. It's not pretentious. It's not, it's just there because you know what's there. And it's like, you're trying to get somebody interested in this business, and they want to make some cash. And you don't know how to show them how to make money. I mean, come on. That's not being professional. That's not treating it like a business. And so therefore you just practice that. And you can practice with your upline, you can practice with crossline, you can practice with me, you can practice with all kinds of people. So anyway, there are your 10 things that you need to know. Again, thanks for being a part of this. As usual, this is recorded and go on to the next video, and thanks for being here today. I'm going to stop the share and then we'll get into any Q&A. So have a great day. Thanks for being here.